Meanwhile then, one of our other top stories, the fate of the Ukrainian town of Soledar hangs in the balance this Wednesday as Moscow strives to make its first breakthrough in the east in months. This morning, the Russian army said the fight for the town was ongoing, contradicting an earlier report from a Russian mercenary group that it had seized control. Well, I'm pleased to be joined now on the programme by Alexandra Filippenko. She's a Russian political analyst and a senior research fellow. Thanks very much indeed for talking to us on France 24. It's good to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us then, from a Russian perspective, in terms of the military, but in terms of propaganda as well, why is Soledar so important?
Well, the capture of Soledar has, first of all, a psychological significance for Russian armed forces, because it has psychological and strategic, of course, significance, but mainly for the propaganda purposes, because Soledar was one of the first points, one of the first talking points, I would say, of the Russian propaganda, and they were expecting to be met with flowers and the love of the Ukrainian people. And for Russian troops, this was a very significant city. So now leaving Soledar would have a horrible effect in Russian media. And that is why the head of the so-called Donetsk and Donetsk Republic, as they call it, the Donetsk People's Republic, he is saying that the liberation of Soledar, it has a prospect to open for the liberation, as they call it, or capturing back the Bakhmut, the largest city. That's only 45 kilometers from Kramatorsk, which serves as the administrative center of Donetsk region that's Ukrainian controlled. So that is why it has, first of all, psychological significance, and then also strategic significance. And that is why Russia and the Kremlin is ready to keep it at any cost. And that is why it's extremely important for the Kremlin, for propaganda, to keep Soledar and to be in Soledar.
Now, the Russian mercenary group called Wagner is involved in the fight for Soledar. As I was saying earlier, it's even claimed that its men are in control of the town, even though the Russian army itself is saying something different. We were also hearing from our Ukraine correspondent earlier that perhaps even the head of the Wagner group is in Soledar, in some of those salt mines underneath the town. That isn't confirmed, but it does suggest that Wagner's playing a big role in Soledar. Would you agree?
Absolutely, and it looks like Wagner Group and Yevgeny Prigozhin, the head of Wagner Group, is playing even a more important role in the Russian army. And probably this means that Mr. Prigozhin has some political ambitions even, because he is very much seen in the Russian political arena, let's say, as of now. And of course, Wagner Group that recruited several thousand prisoners who are now fighting in Ukraine, it plays a very significant role. And a lot of prisoners recruited by Wagner Group are already starting to return to their homes after serving more than 6 months fighting for Russia. So Wagner Group is only getting bigger, and Yevgeny Prigozhin is only getting more and more attention from Russian media and from in the Russian Federation.
Alexandra, we don't have the best sound connection, unfortunately, but I do want to try and hear what you're saying. I think we can still hear you for now. So just one last question, if I may. Can you give us a sense of how the way Wagner operates in Ukraine is different from the regular Russian army? I mean, you mentioned that they've been recruiting prisoners. How's that affecting the way that they're behaving on the ground? I fear we have lost Alexandra Filippenko there.
I think I should quote, although it doesn't give me much pleasure, quoting. Oh, sorry. Yes.
We have a long delay on the line. I think we're going to leave it there, but thanks very much indeed. And our apologies for that. That was Alexandra Filippenko trying to speak to us there, although we were having some delays and some sound issues as well. Apologies for that.